Welcome to the Millionaire Maker Show, a podcast helping online coaches monetize their life's work and scale their businesses to create more time, more money, more freedom, and more impact. Now, with over 20 years of business building, coaching, and consulting experience, here's your host, author, speaker, and creator of the Millionaire Maker Coaching Funnel, Lindsay Anderson.
Welcome to another episode of the Millionaire Maker Show, the podcast that helps you, online coaches, build, scale, and enjoy the benefits of your online coaching business. I'm your host, Lindsay Anderson, a dedicated business coach for high-ticket online coaches with 20 years of experience helping coaches just like you simply and easily build online coaching businesses that truly create an impact for both the people you are serving as well as your bank account. So first of all, this is episode 5, and it's been a true pleasure hosting this podcast already. Now, I have been a host of a couple of podcasts in my 20-year career, as well as been on the other side of the mic interviewing on numerous podcasts. And really, I am so proud of this show because it is the culmination of my 20 years of experience. And my whole goal is to offer you the shortcuts, the way to actually build your online coaching business without quite so many tears. Take it from me, somebody who has made all of the mistakes in their online coaching business, somebody who had to go the hard way and found the easiest way, the best way to simply sell transformational coaching. Now, today I'm very excited to introduce you to a guest of mine, Jon Loomer. Now, I ran into Jon Loomer 10 plus years ago when I first started getting into Facebook ads. Now I run the BAM agency, the #1 agency that helps coaches scale their online coaching businesses through paid ads and helping them with done-for-you work to really scale what is already working for them. And I really have a lot of experience running ads. And Jon Loomer has made a really big impact for me over the last 10 years because this is where I really learned how to hone my Facebook ad skills. So it really is a true pleasure to interview Jon on the show today. And I think you're going to absolutely love this interview. Before I hop into that interview, I want to talk real briefly around this idea that when we run transformational coaching businesses, because we are selling ourselves and we're selling our value and our systems, and it's all about how we truly feel about ourselves. That's how we show up in our coaching business. It was a really rude awakening for me because I had sold Facebook ads and digital marketing for millions of dollars over several years. And so when I stepped in to actually sell coaching, and things did not go as well as they were going because I found that it's much easier to sell Facebook ads or a t-shirt or a website because they're actually buying a product and the product itself stands. So where the real challenge with selling transformational coaching comes is that you have to truly believe in yourself. You have to truly believe in your value in order to successfully sell coaching. So not only do you need good systems in your business and a plan to take you from point A to point B and create systems and marketing and sales knowledge, but you also have to do some personal inner work. If you truly do not find value in yourself as a coach or in the systems and process that you have created to help people, it's very difficult to scale a coaching business. So my philosophies are we take it from both sides. We go with business, systems, sales, strategy, authentic marketing that will last the test of time, as well as understanding our value, showing up in our expertise, showing up in this way because your transformational coaching business is a mirror of how you truly feel about yourself. So just like a mirror, you will not sit and wait for a mirror to smile back at you to where finally, oh, I have enough customers or people have finally paid me my value. So now I will smile and my coaching business can be the amazing coaching business that I have envisioned. And I'm sitting around waiting for the outside to tell me that. You cannot shortcut this. Take my word for it. You, as a transformational coach, have to know this truly from the inside, and you smile first. You show up as that coach who has expertise, who has value, and walks around saying, hey, if you knew what I knew about your problem, the problem you're having, you would run and not walk to my coaching practice. And when you know that inside, okay, you know that. And I'm not talking about self-confidence here. I'm not talking about what you say to the external world. I'm talking about what you truly feel when it's just you and yourself alone at night. How do you truly feel about the value you bring to your customers? And when that answer increases, and it is a scale and it is something that you want to work on every single day, but as your value increases, as your expertise increases, as you get more clients and you understand the value you bring, you will find that the strategies that I share here on the Millionaire Maker Show will work that much better the better your self-value is. So I wanted to drop that in today to make sure that you're doing self-value work, that as you look at your coaching business or you're having difficulties bringing people in or getting those enrollment calls, if you're having those problems, certainly you need systems and a process, but also you need to be looking and having some honest conversations with yourself and starting to believe in yourself and how you are showing up, that you know you bring value, and finding that and truly, truly knowing that. It is essential that you use both sides of these in order to truly scale a coaching business that can become your bank account. Before I hop into that interview, I have a couple of announcements. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who has left a review on the show. I truly appreciate your support. I appreciate all of the individuals that have taken the time to leave a review. And if you are listening to this and you find value here in what I am providing, and you are finding insights and you're finding these aha moments that you can literally go out and execute today to make more money and make more of an impact, I would really appreciate a review on the show. Let me read one review left by a client of mine named Alta Acosta, who is a coach for women going through menopause. She said, and this is, between me and you, this is one of my very favorite titles. She says, and it's pretty simple, Lindsay knows. And then she says, I'm so happy I've been listening and finally started working with Lindsay. She has saved me time and frustration with her knowledge and experience. She lays out what and how in a clear manner that has allowed me to do just what I need to do. I'm so excited to listen to her podcasts to keep me in the growth mindset and focused within my business. So thanks, Alta, for leaving that review on the podcast. It's a true pleasure working with you and helping you and watching you make such an impact with these women that you help through such a phase of life that can be extremely difficult for a lot of women. And not only that, it's not talked about a lot. It's very taboo. So to have such a inspirational woman helping women through this problem, it's a true pleasure to help you. So please leave a podcast review if you are finding this podcast useful. The second thing I wanted to mention, and get ready for it, because on next week's episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my very true loves. Are you ready for it? That would be AI, specifically ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT has revolutionized how we are creating content within my coaching business. I'm teaching people within my coaching programs how to utilize this very powerful piece of software that is really having a massive effect on the way that we do business, the way that we create content, the way we help customers, and it's extremely impactful. And straight up, It is not going anywhere. And so you want to hop on this AI train. Trust me, this AI chatbot is like the very best VA copywriter idea generator that I have ever had. And it's allowing what we already did so successfully here within Lindsay Anderson Coaching. It's allowing us to generate high quality leads from social media 10 times faster. And that may sound like hyperbole, but it is not. When used right, you can utilize ChatGPT to really get to where you're going faster in your business. And that's why next week's episode is going to be a solo episode from yours truly, really talking about the power of AI. So here's the situation. For the listeners of the podcast, I want to make sure that you know about a very special masterclass that I am hosting. All you have to do is go to themillionairemakershow.com/masterclass, and you will see there the opportunity to sign up for this very powerful masterclass called How to Use AI to Fill Your Coaching Programs with High Quality Leads from Social Media. You definitely want to make it to this masterclass. I will show you how to use this technology to really upgrade your systems and what you are doing in your coaching business to literally do it faster. You do not want to miss this masterclass. Again, head over to themillionairemakershow.com/masterclass to get your ticket, and I will see you on that live webinar. So let's talk a little bit about today's episodes. Running Facebook ads for your coaching business is really such a great idea, but only under certain circumstances. And honestly, the world of Facebook ads can be extremely risky. It can be really tricky and very complicated. And during this episode, not only do we talk about the state of Facebook ads and their move to Meta and what's the best way to actually generate content and do we use ads, and Jon answers and gives us a lot of insight on these questions during our interview, but Jon also touches on the role of values in successful entrepreneurship and learning how to maintain a healthy work-life balance while pursuing your entrepreneurial dreams. It's a really amazing interview, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So, without further ado, welcome Mr. Jon Loomer. Let's bring him on, Mr. Jon Loomer. Jon, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, Lindsay, how you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about you. I said you've been teaching me for 10 years. Set the scene. What was Jon Loomer before he had an online business?
Oh, boy. So I think in order to talk about Facebook, I need to talk about the NBA. So I worked for the National Basketball Association from the end of 2005 to the middle of 2008. And while I was there, we partnered with Facebook. This was 2007 when Facebook just rolled out to everyone beyond high school, college. So this new cool platform. And for me as a user, I fell in love with the platform because we moved around a lot as a kid. So they're like, back in 2007, I assumed there were friends I had 20, 30 years ago I would never talk to again. And then to be able to be reconnected with them was amazing. Of course, I was using it also for business reasons because I was at Facebook, at the NBA. So that was part of that backdrop. That whole job is a whole nother discussion, which was pretty amazing. But I left that job after the 2008 season because we had moved our family to New Jersey to take that amazing job. Also had our oldest son was a cancer survivor. So lots going into this story and that decision, but also why we had to come back, like we had family back in Colorado and whatnot. So moved back, unfortunately get laid off twice in a 2.5-year span. And at that point, I knew I didn't want to look for another job let's back up a little bit. I was looking for another job because I didn't know how to start a business, but I was very spoiled about what kind of job I could be looking for because of what I had just done. And so I was looking for a job, but I didn't want to move. We weren't going to move again, and it had to be something to energize me, and that was pretty much impossible to find at that point. This is also economy was in a rough time, which is part of the reason why I got laid off. And so I just kept writing. I started the website, launched it probably 11 days after I was laid off, I think it was, and I just started writing. And originally, is a lot of social media themed stuff, marketing stuff, because that's what I learned beginning of my time with the MBA. And it's just really trying to market myself looking for a job. One thing led to another. Found this niche in Facebook marketing and then Facebook advertising and then advanced Facebook advertising. It's getting lots of traffic. Started to monetize it a little bit just with the way you'd normally monetize traffic. And then I was like, wait, maybe I can launch a product. And that's really been since the end of 2012. It took me a year to come around to the fact that, you know what, I could actually launch a product. And it took me some time to realize that I could do it. And, but more than 11 years after the fact, we're still going strong here, but focus primarily on Facebook ads, education, so training and communities.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What an inspirational story. I have a question, which is, so would you, nowhere in there did I see, and the entrepreneurial spirit was driving me. Like, are you an accidental entrepreneur,
Oh,
or
geez.
what's your entrepreneurial status here?
Very accidental. What's funny is I think this is also what was able to separate me as a brand when I got started. So I never have been, look, my first job out of college was as a telemarketer. Give you an idea. I was the worst telemarketer on the planet. It was like, you don't want what I want, what I'm selling you? Fine. Talk to you later. No big deal. So I hate selling to people, very uncomfortable doing it. So it's just not a natural thing. So as a result, but I'm also forced down this path a little bit. I've got to market myself, but I'm also trying to separate myself from all the gurus and all the other nonsense out there, but saying that's who I am definitely not. So in a way, I saw that, I think that was an advantage because you could stand out a little bit more by having a softer message, I guess, that wasn't so hard. But I never bought into the hustle culture, for example, with entrepreneurship. Even when my business really hit, that wasn't time for me to say, okay, how do we scale, make this bigger and bigger? My whole focus at the time was I had kids, boys who, when it started, were 10, 7, and 3 years old. And I wanted to build a business around assuring that I could spend more time with them and watch them grow and participate in their lives and coach their baseball teams. So that was my focus over really anything else, creating a business that got to a level that allowed me the freedom and flexibility I needed.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm curious, I want to transition now to, you mentioned this, you go, when my business really hit, you hit a place. What was that? Was that a situation or was that a feeling? What was that?
Man, I'd say, first of all, making more than I ever made working on a job was the first thing that made me realize this is really something. But just some of the things that I was seeing that just felt like a dream that could never happen, right? So I was driving traffic at more than 400,000, 500,000 page views a month. I was just a big engaged email list. The first time I ever spoke at a conference, and I'm just somebody who's terrified of public speaking and would never see myself doing that. And I probably dreaded every moment of that for months before I stood up there. But seeing standing room only and all these people and packed to listen to me say something about Facebook ads, it's insane to me. And I just, yes, there was the money. There was also things I just never would have dreamed of at that point in my life, especially a guy who just got laid off for the second time and was at a very low point before that.
Wow. So I want to tie this back to what you said about your true values for even becoming an accidental entrepreneur. And that was always family for you. It was never really about money or anything like that. So did you find the struggle between speaking at all those big stages, did you struggle with the value of family there, or did you always stay strong to that?
I stayed strong to it, honestly, to a fault, to a point. I don't say to a fault, but as my kids got older, coaching their baseball teams became more and more intense and more of a time commitment, a commitment of energy. Anyone who reached out to me to speak knew I was not traveling from pretty much most of the year, but through August for the most part. And I made one exception. I basically was doing one speaking gig a year, and that was it. I stopped speaking on podcasts, I stopped doing lots of stuff just because it's like I wanted to be as focused as possible on my business, knowing the time that I needed. So eventually I realized these are things I needed too for my business. But at the same time, I don't regret it. I don't regret stopping doing those things, even if they long term may have hurt the growth of my business.
Would you have anything to share with people around having this strong family value and how important it is to have a clear reason on why you're doing the online business?
Yeah, everybody has their why, right? And so I can't speak for everyone and say it can't just be money. Maybe for some people, that's all the motivation they need. But I think it's just really important to have that one thing that's driving you. That doesn't leave you feel empty at the end of it. Because ultimately, look, even with the money and being able to do things that we could never do before, that was great. But end of the day, that's not what made me feel fulfilled. So understand what it is that truly motivates you, what is most important when life's over and you can't take anything with you. And for me, and also don't listen to the noise. Like there's a lot of pressure out there about what an entrepreneur is and the way they should behave and how they should get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and they should work late into the night and not take days off and not take holidays and all that kind of stuff. Find what works for you, ultimately, is my advice.
Thank you for that. Everybody write that down. Okay. Now let's talk about business models. Now you've been in the online marketing industry for a really long time. I'm sure I've seen it. You have memberships and you have private coaching. There's 100 ways to make money selling
Right.
your expertise. Tell us what's your favorite way? How do you have things set up right now?
So my first product didn't scale whatsoever, right? So it was a Facebook page review was my product back in 2012. So you paid, I don't remember how much it was. I would review your page, provide a 2-page feedback form along with a video telling you the things that you could do to improve it. I only have so much time so to be able to do a bunch of those would have been impossible. But that was my first effort. After that, I moved to training, and the training is obviously something that can scale. So I create it one time. It doesn't matter whether it's 5 people or 500 people who buy it. It takes the same amount of my time. Now, the problem with training is that you get your sales when you promote it. And so if you stop promoting it, your sales are going to go down. And obviously, just the way kind of people are, if you can't just promote it constantly. So either they're going to buy it or not at some point. Otherwise, you just become noise. So the problem I saw with courses was that I'd have these big peaks. So I got a launch, did really well, sold a whole bunch. Maybe you have this, okay, this is the early bird. Then you have this last minute. Okay, last chance to buy. You get all this kind of surges in purchases, and then the training happens. And then it drops. So what I learned at that point is like I needed something that was more dependable. And so I started a membership. That was about 9 years ago. So I actually have 2 levels of my Power Hitters Club membership for community, for access to training, for weekly webinars, all kinds of more access to me. And that is something that I've been able to hang my hat on for my business for the most part because it's more predictable. And I had the one-on-ones mainly just because I don't take clients anymore. I haven't taken clients for probably, 8, 9 years for a lot of the same reasons I've explained. And also it was a conscious effort of look, clients take a lot of my time and energy. Do I want to dedicate that time and energy to help 1 or 10 people or thousands of people? And I want to help more. It's obviously more scalable to go the membership route. So one-on-ones are that final way. Like someone just book 45 minutes with me and there's no commitment. I'm not managing your ads. Just there's a sounding board to give you some advice.
Tell me if I got this right. So basically, your business model right now is a membership with plenty of members that you've been building for the last 9 years, dedicated and loyal members, and one-on-one clients who may or may not come from there.
Correct. And so something I've added is if you're a member, you get a discount on the one-on-ones as well. I mean, I do occasional trainings, usually about 3 or 4 times a year I'll do as well that the members get access to. Non-members pay separately. But yes, now that my baseball coaching career ended this last summer, I have a lot more time in my hands. I think one of the things I've already started with all the video I've been doing. I've been getting on podcasts, but I think in terms of the business model, I'll actually start getting out there to speak more, maybe do some group trainings and things like that too.
Makes sense. Do you still do big launches into your membership every year?
No, it's not one big launch for the membership. No. So the way I've done it, and that's one of those things that could change because, yeah, there's not a buildup, right, for once you sign up for the membership, because you can sign up month to month, you can sign up annually, and you can sign up at any time, you can cancel at any time. I know that's not the model everybody uses, but that's always something.
Jon Loomer, you're paving the way, doing it your way, man. I love it.
No, but I think what I've also realized over the last few years, and I touched on this a little bit, but I hit some highs, and because of my commitment to all these other things personally, I stopped growing, and to the point where my business started shrinking and went into a downturn. But I'm also realizing that I need to take a second look. What are the things I've been doing for years that maybe I should change? So that said, everything's on the table. Doing all these videos, doing podcasts again are part of that effort as well.
So when you said doing one of these things that I've been doing for years that needs to change, what was that?
Part of it was not playing the algorithm game. So my skill has always been writing. And it's not just that. My website's been the foundation of my business. I've been able to naturally drive a ton of traffic. I've been really lucky. Google likes me, and they've been able to send me a lot of traffic organically without spending money on it. So I write blog posts, and at its peak, I was getting more traffic I could ever that I'd ever need. And in Facebook, I'd really never had any issues with organic reach and whatnot. But then the more the algorithm changed, favoring video and whatnot, I was like, I keep doing what I do. First of all, I don't want to record video. That was my whole thing. That is not something I'm really particularly comfortable with anyway. I'm just going to keep writing blog posts, sharing those links to my followers. And that didn't work quite as well as we went. And one of the interesting results of this new video push that I've been on is kind of the light bulb that, yes, this is the right path. It's a number of people who have said, commenting on my videos, it's great seeing these videos from you. You helped me 8-10 years ago. Haven't seen you in my news feed for years. So it's almost like a backhanded, it's really nice of you, but I haven't stopped doing stuff, but they haven't seen me, which kind of is unfortunate. But so I know though, this is the right move now. It just took a lot of work. It was a little painful to shift my mindset in terms of what I should be doing.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I saw your video, the first video you did, and you were out walking and you're like, I'm going to have to do some video. It was a great video.
Even then, I knew I had to start doing some video, but in terms of committing to short form, I had no idea what that looked like. And it wasn't until, because I think with the video you're talking about, it might've been June, July-ish, but like October is when I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. I'm going to create some really bad videos, and that's all right. It's going to be all part of the process. And I've got to understand it's not just TikTok because I started up on TikTok, but I can carry this to Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, even podcasting. I've taken it to my podcast too. And understanding that this is more of a commitment to a format than a platform, but I can't worry about, is this going to be good? That's pretty much what kept me from doing it for years. And finally dedicating myself in October was a big shift for me.
What
Yeah.
really stood out to me for what you said there was, I can't imagine what it would have been like because you are a big deal. Okay. You just talked about going on stages and like you're Jon Loomer, and then you're got to do the short form video. And your thought, I just want to point this out to everybody, was, is this going to be good? But Jon was producing amazing content and he still was like, is this going to be good?
I think that's part of the problem, right? For where I was, and that, yeah, I'm setting a certain standard, I think, with
Yes.
what I've written. And to say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to record a video, I don't really care if it's good or not, is tough to say because, I feel like I've got a certain standard that I have to meet. But at the same time, once I started creating those videos, there's no one who was like judging me and saying, Jon, this video sucks. What are you doing? It was all, first of all, on TikTok, I didn't really have a following yet. Like I'm starting everything from scratch. So those who are actually following me care, like they're supportive. So that's all part of it too, is like getting over that. Really, it's just all in your head. It's the silliness that prevents us from doing things that you're not good enough. And the reality is this, whether it's writing a blog post, launching your first product, creating your first video, you can't immediately create something great unless you have someone helping you who's done it a million times before and can be great. That's the only way. But for me, if I'm committing to it and saying, I'm going to do this by myself and I'm going to create this video, I just have to accept the fact that it's okay that it's not going to be, if it's not great. And with each video, it's more about the process. It's about learning something every single time. Like this worked this time, it didn't work that time, I'm going to try something differently. It's also with my process too, because that was the most frustrating part. And I think it probably is for a lot of people who get into, could be creating videos, it could be blogging, like the amount of time it takes when you don't really know what you're doing is really frustrating. So I even created a video early on. I don't know how long I could do this because it was taking me 2 hours to record and edit videos that were a minute long. And is this even worth it? But that's just you just have to push through that because it gets easier. Like look, I'm only 3 months in, but I have and I created 70 videos in October, learned a whole lot from that. And I now have a process where I record, edit. It's under an hour to get a minute long. And like almost all my videos are like a minute long, almost exactly. I have to edit like crazy. And so it's a process that's doable now. So, look, eventually probably hire someone to do all that. But I think it's important for me personally. I want to know how to do it too. And so having that hands-on early on is good for me.
Okay, I want everyone to hear Jon's takeaways because that's the entrepreneurial path. You're going to have to learn new skills. You're going to feel like a dumb starting it. It's going to take forever. It's super important that you learn how to do this yourself, especially the content thing. You can't farm that out to some VA and have them show up like Jon. It's just not going to work. So you have to figure it out, and then you can farm this stuff out later, but you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's such a balance too. Like I've never, during that time where I would say I may have made some mistakes where the business started to downturn, I did start leaning on people more to do content. So I'd have more people be guest writers. I'd have people who would teach their own trainings and things like that. That by itself wasn't the mistake. It was, you have to fill on the other side if you're replacing something, right? So if they are replacing effort I was normally putting in, and I'm the face of the brand too. They are now doing the training. They are now writing the blog posts. what do I need to do? Like, I don't need to stay sharp anymore. Like, I don't need to do all this research and put together all this content. And that was my mistake. It wasn't so much the farming out. So it's just one of those things that we all have to think about if we're in the content game.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to talk about Facebook ads, the status of Facebook ads these days. I'd like a statement on the Apple situation over there when they totally tanked everything in March of 2020. Can you tell us the status of Facebook ads according to Jon Loomer?
Well, it's harder. So look, what happened in 2020, first of all, Facebook was caught flat footed as well. That's one of the few times that Facebook hasn't been in control of what was happening. And they're reactionary because of something that Apple was doing. And the result of that was they weren't ready. And I think they were harmed pretty significantly because of the fact they weren't ready, which meant advertisers were harmed as well. But they also took away some features. I think they overreacted by taking away some features because of a loss in confidence of the data. So iOS, when basically the whole thing went down, was people could opt out of tracking when they're on their phone. And if they did so, that restricted the amount of data that advertisers could get that would help with Facebook ads reporting, conversion reporting, also for targeting people on your website, optimization as well, so that the ads performed well. But honestly, the biggest thing that happened during that iOS, I contend, has nothing to do with whether or not your users were on iOS devices. It's Facebook moved from a 28-day click attribution window to a 7-day click. So doesn't matter. They could all be on desktop. They could all be on Android. Does not matter. If they clicked your ad, converted in 8 days or 28 days, whatever, you'll never know it within Ads Manager. And the result of that was not only did your results look bad, but Facebook's optimization suffered too. So all these things combined to lead to some pretty bad results for advertisers for the next year and a half or so. Now, we're seeing some good signs right now. There are a couple of signs. First of all, they're bringing back some of the features that they got rid of, which to me is if it in a way could be weird timing or could show you what's coming next, right? They brought back the ability to view 28-day click attribution. That's not default, but you can dig to find it. They brought back some other features related to attribution. And again, there are 3 features that they got rid of as a result of iOS. So on one hand, why would you bring it back if you think we're heading into this era where it's going to get tougher and tougher to track? Because that's why they got rid of it in the first place, because of the loss in confidence in the data. But they're bringing it back. So my feeling is they must have enough confidence in that. Why else would they invest in the development of those features, the team that needs to maintain them and all those types of things, unless they see a future where that's possible again? And so I think it seems to be that their machine learning, their modeling, conversion modeling, all that stuff combined is getting better. And hopefully that means regardless of what happens with whether it's iOS or other device privacy laws and browser settings, we're heading in this direction where all that stuff is getting more and more restrictive. It appears Facebook thinks there's still a bright future for attribution and reporting. So we'll see. But that's one thing. The other thing that's kind of a good sign for advertisers, not necessarily great for Facebook, is that we just went through a period that costs tend to be really high. So Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all the holidays building up to that, oftentimes the CPM cost, basically the cost to reach people, would double, even triple to reach people. That did not happen this year. I think what we're seeing is because there are fewer advertisers, there are more who are concerned about the results that they were getting, spending less. The result of that is it's cheaper to reach people than it used to be. And that creates an opportunity for those who have stuck around.
So are you planning on sticking with Facebook?
Yes. Look, the thing is, whether it's Facebook or anywhere else, we're all they're all dealing with some of the same problems. The issue for Facebook that's unfortunate is, man, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was almost miraculous, like the results you could get from Facebook ads. And before everybody was getting into it, now that there are more advertisers, now that the platform's not growing anymore, so the user base isn't growing anymore. Because that's the thing, you got a user base that's constantly growing at the rate it was. It could maintain having more advertisers get in there because there's constantly more inventory because there's more users to show ads to. But now that's flattened out as well. And so that's impacting results. But anyway, to answer your question, these are the same issues we see everywhere. Advertising is not easy anywhere. It's just that Facebook has gone from being insanely good results to you got to work your butt off to get those results now.
Can you, coming from a paid advertising guy like yourself, and you also going into like content marketing to expand your reach, how do we find a balance of those two?
I feel like, look, whether it's blogging or video or ads, it all has its own individual purpose, right? So this is something that even for video, I've had to learn because I'm such a numbers guy that it's important. I've always wanted to be able to track, okay, this blog post led to this number of conversions and sales, even though that's not the original goal of that blog post, right? So you can do all that with content that's on your website. The problem with video is you kind of lose all of that once you're keeping them on the platform. So I think the main thing to remember with whatever content you're creating is, depending on the businesses, is more and more important for some types of businesses than others. But video, whatever content you create, making an emotional connection with your audience, making sure you're top of mind, because they may not need whatever it is you offer right now, but when they do need it, they'll be thinking of you. And that's ultimately the purpose of whatever content you create. And honestly, why I always, if it's not video, was always creating content, because that free side, if you keep everything behind a paywall, no one really sees what you can do. No one really knows what value you can provide other than you promising them that you can. So I think that's the important side of content, is building that expertise and making that emotional connection.
You have anything to say about people's number one issue, which is, if I give away all my stuff for free, why would anybody pay me? Can you make a statement on that?
Not everyone's good. Like, a lot of people will never pay. But those people who viewed and consumed and used your free content and who are never going to pay anyway can be your greatest advocate, and they could share your content with somebody who will pay. But I want to say this, not only does it prove that you provide value and that you know what you're talking about, so this is especially for people in that info business, but whether it's the remarketing side of it, you're making that connection with people where they're thinking of you. But if you create a ton of content and someone's, oh man, I really need help with this side, with the Facebook ads, where do you start? If you were to come to my site, where do you start? It's almost like an overwhelming of information because you put it all out there. So part of your job as a course creator or whatever it be is like, oh, now it's organize our thoughts in a way to help you the most. Or it's with the community, or it's the one-on-one. It's like that content proved that I know what I'm talking about. You now want to book that one-on-one session. Would you book a one-on-one session with me if I had never put out that free content and I just told you, book a session with me, I know what I'm talking about? Probably not. And you probably never would have stumbled on my stuff in the first place without the free content.
And people legitimately pay you for this. Tell me, spoon feed this to me, how I'm supposed to know and execute this.
In terms of creating the content?
Just like, some random 10 reels in out of order, like they'll pay you to be like, no, this is the order to do stuff in.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point of a training. And look, I even stumble on that sometimes myself. I'm always creating content. So I'm going to put together this training, and it's really going to refer to a lot of stuff I've already talked about separately, but in so many different places. Like, I can't assume that any one person has read every one of my blog posts, has watched all my videos, has listened to all my podcasts, because that's basically what a training does is, okay, let's consolidate everything I've been saying into these kind of simpler steps that anybody can follow. Yeah, we got to get away from that whole concern about free stuff, because especially these days, if you're not front and center and connecting with people and becoming top of mind, they're not going to buy your stuff.
Period. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Bet.
Okay, Jon, before I let you go, if you could just let people know what those next steps are to come into Jon's world. Go ahead.
Well,
it's all yours.
these days, everybody's everywhere, but you can find me everywhere. But jonloomer.com is the central hub. But otherwise, hey, I'm on TikTok now, at Jon Loomer, Instagram, at Jon Loomer, YouTube, at Jon Loomer, got the podcast with Jon Loomer, and of course, Facebook, Jon Loomer Digital there.
Very nice. Jon, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I sure appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you, Lindsay.
So there you have it. What an incredibly insightful conversation that was with Jon Loomer, from his beginnings in the NBA to his expertise in Facebook ads, and advanced advertising. Jon's story truly offers valuable insights for anyone looking to scale their business. So a good takeaway from that is really remembering to identify your why, and striking the right work-life balance are critical factors in your journey. You did not build this coaching business to work so much and to have it really consume your life. It's really important that you enjoy what you're doing and understand that your best coaching and your best way to build this business is really achieving that work-life balance. So as Jon wisely said in that interview, find what works for you. This episode truly underlines why the Millionaire Maker Show is the go-to podcast for high-ticket online coaches. We're here to guide you through the ins and outs of online business and really lead you to success. So before I let you go, don't forget about my upcoming AI Masterclass. This thing is on fire. You really want to come. I will show you exactly what we're doing here in Lindsay Anderson Coaching to amplify the strategies that we're already working, but now we actually have an AI bot to help us out even more. You do not want to miss that masterclass. You can catch that masterclass and you can get all of the details and reserve your seat for that masterclass by heading over to themillionairemakershow.com/masterclass. By heading over to themillionairemakershow.com/masterclass. If you enjoy this podcast and you want to keep hearing all of the strategies and the straight to the point information that I will be giving you on how to grow your coaching business, make sure that you subscribe. And I will see you next week on a very amazing episode around AI. You don't want to miss that. So make sure you subscribe to this podcast. And until next time, I'm Lindsay Anderson, your business coach for online coaches, signing off. Remember, my friends, embrace your unique journey, identify your why, have a plan and a strategy that actually works. And until the next episode, cheers to you and your success.
Thank you for listening to the Millionaire Maker Show with master business coach and creator of the Millionaire Maker Coaching Funnel, Lindsay Anderson. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time.